y'all, welcome to Texas 2.5. Are you ready for this? Today is the big day. It's finally here. If you've been watching, you know we've been doing a 3-part series on 49-day dry-aged beef. In the first video, I showed you how to dry age beef at home easily using the UMAI dry aging bags. In the second video, we took our 49-day dry-aged bone-in prime rib and our 49-day dry-aged New York strip roast. We cut thick steaks off of each one. We cooked them up, reverse seared, and we did a head-to-head taste test, New York strip versus ribeye. I'll put the links to those first 2 videos down below, but today's video is the coup de grace. We're at the top of the mountain today, folks. It's time to do 49-day bone-in prime rib roast and a 49-day New York strip roast and do a head-to-head taste comparison on those. I think you're going to love it. Check it out. All right, y'all. We're getting the Weber Smoky Mountain fired up. 30 degrees Saturday. Very little wind. No snow at the moment. And I'm hoping we can get through this cook without any adverse weather so that I can keep videotaping. All right, y'all, here we go. We got a 4-pound, 3-ounce New York strip roast right here. And we have a 3-pound, 13-ounce prime rib roast right here. And all I'm going to do is trim these up. You've seen guys do that before. You don't need to watch me trimming the wax off of these. So I'll bring you back here in a few minutes when it's time to rub. All right, y'all, we got the New York strip done. And I'll be honest, that was harder than I thought it was going to be. That waxy layer is really tough to cut off. And I think I'll clean it up a little bit better, get some of these dark spots off. But in general, you can see we got most of that off, and we're back to nice clean white layer on the fat side and nice dark red layer on the meat side. All right, y'all, here we are. Got our prime rib done. This is the small end of the prime rib. We got a 3-bone roast, but these are the smallest bones, so that's why it was only a 4-pound roast. But anyhow, she looks pretty, and she's as tender as all get out. A lot more tender to me than the New York strip, although I will say the meat of the New York strip feels awesomely tender. It's the thick fat cap that I left on that doesn't feel as tender. My base layer, as always, is a good SPG. Today I'm using Ranch Fixin's steak dust. You can go to their website and find that. For my middle layer, I'm going to use the last of my Kosmos cow cover. Then, as always, I finish my beef with a thicker Montreal-style seasoning. Today I'm using Outlaw Surf and Turf. This is a company from right here in Minnesota. I've used this on prime rib before, and it is absolutely phenomenal stuff. So those are my 3 rubs. All right, y'all, here these beauties are. They're looking delicious. I'll tell you 2 quick tips. Normally, I do not like to use oil or mustard or any kind of binder on anything that I smoke. I always just use the natural juices of the meat, and I think that's good enough. So that's what I did today. And actually, in this case, I regret it because this is my first time doing dry age rib roast, and I didn't think about the fact that dry age meat is so much more dry on the outside. It is not tacky at all. It is not slippery enough for the rubs to adhere. So after I had put on my first 2 fine layers, I wasn't going to be able to get this coarse layer to adhere at all. So what I did was I just gave them a quick hit of canola oil. So if you're ever in that situation, you can cheat and just drizzle a little olive oil and smear it, or hit it with some canola oil. I did the canola oil just so I wouldn't have to redistribute my spices after rubbing oil on the meat. Second thing is, you'll notice I don't season up the ends of mine. I just do the top and the bottom. The reason I don't, and I know I'm in the great minority on this, but try it, see if you like it. The reason I don't is because once we start cutting these up into slices after they've been cooked, if you've seasoned that whole end on each side, what you've got is a slice of meat that one entire side of that is covered with your seasoning instead of just the edges. And for me, that's just the right amount of seasoning. I don't want an entire slab of beef covered thick with 3 layers of rub like I do the outside. So that's why I do that. We tend to be a family that prefers a little less seasoning and a little more meat flavor, but that's why we don't. All right, we're gonna make this quick because I've already had my lid open way too long. We were rocking just under 300 before I put these on, but it's gonna get up to 400. I'm gonna have to damper it down to bring the temps back down once we're done with this video. All right, y'all, here's a quick update. We are, just about an hour in. Our temps started out in the 330s, and I cut 2 vents off completely, and 1 vent I left open probably about a pencil thick, maybe a little less than a pencil thick, this whole hour, and they've steadily dropped down to 280 on that top rack. Oh baby, these puppies are looking awesome, absolutely delicious. I did throw on a chunk of oak and a chunk of cherry right after I put the meat on, and that's what they've been smoking with this whole time. These babies are looking delicious. Absolutely awesome. All right, let's pull these babies. Let's wrap them in some foil and get these charcoals hot. All right, y'all. I just knocked the ash off of the coals, stirred them up. They're getting nice and hot. Probably about 10 minutes once those babies are rocking and rolling. I am going to bring some meat out here and we are going to have ourselves a roast fest. And I have something special for you. I know you guys been missing the Lone Star like crazy. And I told you it's too hard to pull this baby out here in the middle of winter and use it in these slippery and snowy conditions. But I figured out a way to at least give a little nod to the old Lone Star Grill while we're cooking our steaks here. Check it out. All right. If you know a Lone Star Grill, you'll recognize what I'm doing here. I was thinking, how am I going to Santa Maria these roasts and get them close enough to this fire to get a really nice, hot, fast sear? And I thought, you know what? I wonder if my old grate from my Lone Star buddy, Firebox, is big enough to sit on the edges of this Weber Smoky Mountain and make me a grill. And boys and girls, it worked perfectly. Got to use the Weber Smoky Mountain whenever it's snowy and cold outside, but we can still give a tribute to our old Lone Star buddy. He's making an appearance, even if it's only in part. But listen to that sizzle, you guys. Suppose it's a lot easier to listen to that sizzle when there's not a 747 going overhead, huh? I wish you could have seen the bubbling and the popping. Wish you could have seen me lose my meat right here in front of you on the camera. Oh yeah. Looking good. No more video. Too much going on. See you in a minute. The deed is done. Let me tell you right now, folks. I can't wait to show you the result inside. I wish you could have smelled the smells coming off of those drips over those hot coals. Without further ado, let's get inside. Y'all excited? Moment of truth. Favorite knife. You know I'm excited about cutting into a piece of meat when I break out my favorite knife. Here we go. Whole lot of juice in there. Here's the New York strip. Looks beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. Nice sear all the way around. It feels as tender as all get out. It really softened up during that cook. I got grease dripping all over my counter. Looks delicious. Slide this cutting board a little closer. And here's the prime rib. Looking awesome. Juicy, good sear. Man, that was fun. Searing that. It smelled so good out there. I can't even tell you. Now this has been resting for a solid 20 to 25 minutes. So our temps have probably actually started to drop just a little bit, but I'm curious what the internals are going to say on here. Ooh, 134. Right there in the center, about 134. 135. 133. Yep, 132. So these probably this one probably finished around 140, this New York strip. This one here probably finished around 135. I've probably lost 3 to 5 degrees on these maybe, since I let them rest a little longer than usual. I wanted to really give them a good long rest period. But now it's time for the big moment. Let's check it out. All right. Let's do the New York strip first, right down the middle. Actually, I'm not going to do... Yeah, I'll do right down the middle for you. We've been waiting 49 days for this, right? Do that one. And then, since we're doing prime rib, we're doing this prime rib style, I'm going to go ahead and cut these bones off. And I'm going to slice it up, just like you would a prime rib. And when I turn this camera off, you can bet what I'm going to be doing. So there we go. Got our prime rib separated there. And let's just go right down the middle. Oh, baby. All right, you ready for the big reveal? I'll give you a close-up. Here's our New York strip. Look at that. Beautiful pink. And again, as it sits here for 5 minutes, that's going to get even pinker as it oxidizes. Let me show you the big piece of prime rib here, the big chunk. Awesome looking. Buddy, I cannot wait to dive into some of this. Let's get it going. All right. Took some time to take some pictures there. I always forget the pictures at the end because I'm so busy videoing. I'm going to take a thin slice off of this so I can preserve the thick slices for some dinner guests. But this is center cut, boys and girls. This is the New York strip. I'm going to eat this whole piece right here. So there's our New York strip cut up. And now I'm going to take some of this prime rib. Baby, get me a thin slice of that. And I'm going straight for the cap. You say, that's not fair for a taste test. Well, I'll eat some more that ain't cap too. I can guarantee you that. But I didn't do this for 49 days to avoid eating that rib cap, I'll tell you right now. And as you know, I already have a pretty good idea of the difference between ribeye and New York strip and my feelings on it. I'm going to do this first piece of New York strip with rub, and then I'll take a center cut piece that doesn't have any rub on it. But look at the juiciness. Look at my gloves. Looks like I coated them in vegetable oil. That is twice as good as when I did it steak style. Roasting it like this, I think that New York strip needs, if you're going to dry age a New York strip, I think the best way to then cook it is roasting it like a prime rib because it loses so much of its moisture. And it's already not as fatty and juicy of a cut as prime rib. So when you cook it like a steak, it dried out and toughened up on me, even though I kept it, I believe, under 140. It wasn't outstanding. on the second video. But this is outstanding. This is tender. This is juicy. And as I would expect, remember how that blue cheesy flavor started to come through a little bit at the end on my second video, on the steak video. Same thing here. And the place where I'm getting that flavor is from the fat, because the fat is what's exposed to the air. That's where those reactions are happening. That's where that bacteria is most prevalent, obviously. And the fat on the dry aged meat is really where that main blue cheesy flavor is coming through. So I just took a bite with no fat on it. It honestly tastes a lot like prime rib. A little leaner, but still so tender and juicy. That is amazing. That is so good. All right, I'll take a non-cap bite of the prime rib first. Trim a little bit more fat off of it. Don't quite want to eat a wad of fat. I'll take a non-cap piece right under the cap. That is so incredible. The dry aged steaks were great, but it wasn't like a world-class experience. I'm telling you, doing it, I'm surprised because I prefer steaks. I have never been a big prime rib guy, to be honest with you. I've turned my nose up at prime rib the first 25, 30 years of my life. I've just started to enjoy it in the last few years, but I still would rather have a great steak than a great prime rib. This blows the steak experience away from the second video. I try not to exaggerate and to oversell things. I try to be honest with you, and I think I was very honest on the second video that it was good. It was a very good experience, but it wasn't like, oh, I have to dry age every time from now on. It wasn't that huge of a difference I noticed on the steaks. But I mean, if you want to call an hour slow roasting, but it cooked so fast because it was just probably 3 pounds of meat by the time we trimmed off what we trimmed off. This is so good. Let's go for a piece of that rib cap now. Just look at how juicy that is. That is just awesome. And I have to say, because I've told you before, prime rib has 2 advantages over New York strip. It's more tender and it's more juicy because it has more fat. New York strip has 1 advantage over prime rib. It has a stronger beef flavor, like a more supercharged meat flavor. So even though it's not as tender and juicy, it still has the benefit of being beefier. I did not get that this time. When I first bit into that non-cap piece of prime rib a minute ago, the first thing that hit me was this tastes beefier than the New York strip. And even though the New York strip was amazing, and if I had only cooked the New York strip, I would walk away from today thinking that was an A+ piece of meat. But having compared it now to the prime rib actually wins in all 3 categories. It's juicier, it's more tender, especially the cap. I know that's cheating, but it's only a hair more tender. The New York strip was very tender today, much better than in the steak video. But the prime rib is a little juicier. It is a hair more tender, but it actually has a stronger beef flavor this time. I am actually shocked. I've done multiple comparisons. Like I told you before, I've done comparisons before I even had a YouTube channel between New York strip steaks and ribeye steaks, just for my own eating pleasure. And I always thought New York strips tasted beefier. For the first time in a comparison with ribeye New York strip, I think this particular prime rib won on all 3 counts. And these were not primes. So technically it's not a true prime rib. These were choice cuts of beef. They were equal. They're both amazing. But actually, when cooked as a roast, this prime rib wins on all 3 counts. Here's another non-cap piece. I mean, just look at that. I've already had lunch. It's 1:45 in the afternoon, and I'm standing here pounding down this. So good. And on that bite right there, That was my first bite that had a lot of crust and rub on it. It's the perfect amount, the perfect blend of spices. It complements the meat. It brings out flavor, but it's not dominating, and it's absolutely delicious. One last thing here before I let you go. The thing I've been waiting the most for. This is not part of the taste comparison because this is not fair. The largest bone from that rib roast. My absolute favorite part, I think, of the whole cow is that prime rib bone. And this one, now I just showed you the juicy side, but look at this rub side. I mean, just look at the beautiful char and spices on there. Wow. I'm going to go the spice side first. That's the less meaty side. I mean, just look at that. Folks, I hope you're enjoying this video as much as I'm enjoying making it. I know this has been a long segment, this taste test, but 7 weeks, you guys. Mm, that is so good. Oh, that was the best bite yet. That was so amazing. And I did not remove the membrane. I like membrane on my ribs. I like the snap. It reminds me of eating a bratwurst a little bit. I like the snappy texture. I'm big on food textures. As you know, with all the onion straws I put on my cheeseburgers, the crispy fried French's onion straws. But that membrane snaps and it's covered in rub and it's salty and delicious. Mm. Let's sit here and eat this whole prime rib on video for you. Thank you guys for watching. This has been so much fun. It's been an awesome 49-day process. Prime rib, New York strip. I still have 2 big hunks in the freezer, bigger than these hunks. I think the hunks I have left are almost 5 pounds each. And I can't wait to have some folks over and do those. It's going to be awesome. Thank you for watching. Prime rib wins, but the New York strip is still incredible. Either one you go with would be awesome. Try those UMAI dry aging bags. Look up some other guys' videos. T-Roy does a great job. Ballistic Barbecue has a great UMAI video. As always, Sous Vide Everything channel does a lot of great things in that area as well. But also, next time I dry age, I'm going to try it without the UMAI bags. T-Roy also has a video like that where he just open air dry ages it in his fridge with a bed of salt underneath it in a big 9x13 Pyrex dish. I'm going to try that method too. I wonder if that might give us even a little more blue cheesy flavor, especially on the prime rib, because again, just like with the second video, never got that blue cheesy or aged flavor coming through on the rib roast, but nonetheless, it was still awesome. This would be $100 steakhouse dinner, and it was amazing. So thanks for joining me for the journey. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. We'll see you next time with another fun recipe on Texas 2.5. Take care.